My name is Zhang Senlin. I have a long history in the forestry production. They often call me Director Chen, but I'm just an ordinary professional. I had about 40 years history in the forestry industry. My name is Lin Zhuoxin. I come from Singapore. I'm the counselor of this association. My interest lies in furniture production.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jean Bacoumin. I come from France. I'm the GFTN manager. That means a Global Forest and Trade Network, and I'm in charge to provide assistance to companies to progress to forest certification, council certificate, and I'm here to talk to you about it if you want.
Hey everyone, afternoon. I'm Master Serac. Actually, I am just a teacher who teach architecture school in architecture school as well as a practicing architect. So also, when talking about wood, at the same time, I'm encouraging my people to use back timber in building.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Pramono. I'm from Indonesia. I come from a company called Nagabuana Aneka Piranti. And I'm an internal auditor, but mostly on the management system, not on the accounting. But today we are going to talk, I'd like to share something on the artistic wood. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Diomedes Rasaelis from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. I teach timber production and management. I'm also engaged in research on timber production systems, particularly forest plantations.
非常感谢台上的6位嘉宾啊！接下来呢，我们还是一样。
Likewise, I would like to pass the floor to our audience. Any questions? It's time for you to raise your questions.
So let's give a chance for the audience first if they have questions.
No. Then as the moderator, because last session I don't have the chance to raise a question. The first question is addressed to Mr. Jean from France, because just now we mentioned that regarding the race law in America and also EU legislation, etc. So I just want to ask you, in this morning we mentioned that this is the long tariff trade barrier. I don't know what's your take on that. Regarding the lace legislation or your EU timber legislation, can that be regarded as the trade barrier? What's your take on that?
Yes, I can. Yes. All right. Yes, thank you very much for the question. I will try to explain a bit the difference between the Lacey Act and the European Timber Regulation. As my colleague told here, the Lacey Act is based on due care. It is the exporter who must make all verification, while the European Timber Regulation is based on a due diligence system. We have two components. The first component is what we call the VPA, the Voluntary Partnership Agreement. It is like an Indonesia which is engaged to sign with a European Union VPA. That means in the next months or in upcoming years, Indonesia will offer to all exporters what we call a FLEGT license. It is a kind of a certificate of legality. But all countries in the world are not ready or are not agree to sign the VPA with the European Union. It is the case for Brazil, for example, and China. So for European companies, importers, they need to implement the due diligence system. That means the company must check the risk that they must implement a risk assessment by placing the wood in the European market. And once this risk has been well assessed, they need to make a risk mitigation. And so we have two components. First of all, risk assessment, and the second, risk mitigation. So it is the company who is in charge to ask to the supplier to offer all required documents to prove the legality of the wood. This is the key difference between Lacey Act and the EU timber regulation.
Okay. Jing, does it require due regard for the non-tariff trade barriers?
Sorry?
Does the EU timber regulation is a non-tariff trade barrier or not?
No, it will be, I think the date it will in 2013, not now. Now it is the first step, all preparation.
Okay, thank you.
I do something. Since only now Chinese, so allow me to speak in Chinese.
我来说中文吧，因为很多中国人。
上个礼拜我碰到这个欧盟。
Last week, I met with the chairman of the European Wood Association. I raised a question, for example, for Malaysia, for Indonesia, and for Thailand. For these countries, they have adopted the rubber wood to be the material to make furniture. So, for us, for some time, at a certain time, we will fail it. So do we need a kind of certificate? So I think this certificate is serves as a kind of non-tariff barrier. So I think this is not good. A second question is for several hectares of forest. For a very short period of time, if you just pay money, you can get a certificate.
不只是这个非关税壁垒，而且是在挂掉落后国家的钱啊，所以我觉得感觉很不好，所以我当时就提出来了。谢谢各位。
我是来自内蒙古农业大学的一位教师，我有一个问题呢，问我们那个张胜林会长。现在我们这个。 大学生就业啊，现在这个国家呢，这个提倡这个多种途径的就业，其中有一个很
has called for different tiers of ways, different channels for the employment. So the government has advocated the self-innovation or to get jobs by ourselves through innovation. So, for example, if we want to start up a business in terms of the forestry industry, do you think in which way, in what kind of product that is most suitable for us to start a business as a student?
这个教授的这个对我的厚望啊，可能我不能令你满意。我有一个很大的体会，就是我们在座的都是世界上的精英。
So you are the elite of the world. Within a very short span, it is so difficult to make it clear. I think all the discussions today are too complicated. It seems that it is not so intensive knowledge, but actually it has a far-reaching impact on so many things. I can't tell you the response in one word or another. I just tell you today we cannot answer any questions within such a period of time. This is my question to you. I'm not for the FSC, SGS. People from SGS. So just now you mentioned about the transaction of forestry. So these questions cannot be answered within several minutes. So anyway, the forest industry is developing very quickly, and also this is the picture all across the world. And the people's livelihood has been improving. So in the process of development, of course, there are some challenges and some obstacles. So we can't answer your questions very clearly. The second question is for the certification. I think certification is very important to promote the climate change, to protect our environment and climate. So yesterday, Nanjing, an institute of Nanjing, this report mentioned that a human being extincted because of the volcano, earthquake, another is the climate change. So in this way, I think I really endorse with the certification of forest because the climate change. Maybe many people think that the temperature is getting higher. Many people also think the temperature will be dropping. So we think environmental issue is very important. So I just agree with the certification. However, if certification, if this accreditation will say that we can save the world, we can save the forestry, I don't think certification can save us. No country is like China, is so vigorously, is so religiously care about forest. Because we have 40,000 people, forces to manage the forestry. But we cannot guarantee to stop the illegal felling. So, for example, SGS, the people, the experts from SGS, you do not make this matter too absolute because now the economy is slowing down a little bit. If we overstress as SFC, I think this is the objective matter. So just now a professor from in the Mongolia University, in the Mongolia, not Guangxi University, since we are here in Guangxi province. So how to start up a business. So for a university student to start up, I think the best way is to reforest. This is the best way. If you can get a kind of fund, because the reform has created us a very good opportunity for us to reforest, because reforestation can bring us a lot of wealth. And I don't think you just go to or participate in some very high intensive technology-based forestry. For example, in the Mongolia, there are some real and we are much needed products. So if it's too industrialized, I think the university students cannot accept it. At the beginning, I think for university students, they should find a job to feed and to shelter. This is the most important thing. I just tell you to make this complicated thing, to answer this very complicated thing. This is beyond my capability. Thank you very much. Our next question, on a certain university student from Guangxi University. I'm a teacher from Guangxi University. So I am majoring in forestry and furniture. So can you tell me something? Because just now we have listened to many of your suggestions and lectures, and he mentioned about the policy. So Mr. Lin has mentioned quite a lot. And Mr. Lin, so you are the master in this industry, in the furniture industry. Just now, the American delegate has mentioned about the policy, its impact on the economic development and forestry. For example, through the political pressure, the American side has coerced the Chinese to appreciate our Chinese RMB. So I think for this appreciation of Chinese RMB has some impact on our furniture industry. And also the United States has resorted to the WTO rules to actually to fight against us. So it means that our loss is much better. It is much larger than our gains. The third question is Lacey Act, and also FSC certification. Just according to Mr. Jiang, I really endorse with you. In my opinion, I think the policy is implemented by the United States. However, the forever pain is lingering in China. And we are mentioning about the low-carbon economy. It seems that it is a slogan. It is restricting the development of the furniture industry development in China. Thank you very much. So I want to answer your question shortly. So since the entrance into WTO, the United States on many occasions has raised its weapon against China, especially for the solid wood products from China. So for example, in terms of anti-dumping, for 7 or 8 years, the situation has changed a little bit. For example, for the anti-dumping cases, they do not fulfill their goal. The United States do not fulfill their goal. So this is kind of coercion. So that means anti-dumping cannot help to reinvigorate the U.S. industry in this regard. So just based on the previous 7 or 8 years of experience, we do not just help to build up the American industry development. So China has accounted for quite a lot in terms of the furniture exportation. So I think this is a large number, large data. If anti-dumping is implemented by the United States, this will prevent us into the access of the United States market, American market. So I think China should should adopt two policies. For example, we should stimulate our domestic needs. So the best of the breed should be sold to the domestic Chinese markets. Maybe no need to export too much to the United States. For example, the urbanization is developing and is accelerating very fast. So 80% of the market acceleration is moving forward at a rate of 80%. And do not always raise the slogan to make bigger, to make you powerful and bigger. This is not so good. This is not only the cluster. We should not be extensively based. We should be intensively based. So we should be more professional. We should looking forward to build high quality products. We should not make the very low quality products. And another solution for you, and your solution is maybe you should not only export your products to the United States. Maybe some other destinations like developing countries and the third world. So now the furniture industry is very healthy in China.
Thank you. Next question is okay. You go. I just want to ask Mr. Lim. Just now, my teacher also mentioned. I heard that in America, they are adopting some policies or some measures to restrict China's export to USA. I know that America is the largest export destination country for China. As of year 2008, when the financial crisis is taking place, our industry was also hit hard. So regarding the policies elected by our U.S. counterparts, what kind of countermeasures do we have? And also regarding the export, I think the export should be driving the domestic demand. So in what way the export can drive up our domestic demand? Regarding the trading, and a single policy cannot affect this kind of a balance, because as long as there's a demand, then there's going to be a supply. If the U.S. doesn't procure the timber from China, then it's going to procure the timber from some other countries. It is very difficult to find the suitable suppliers, because China's export is accounting for 50% of the U.S. trading total. So if you want to find a suitable supply to substitute China, I don't think it is an easy task. Just like when I'm trying to purchase the shoes in USA, when we are exporting those stuff to USA, actually American people are getting the benefits from the export of the products from China to USA. I think this is the requirement or demand on both sides. I don't think that some single policy is going to affect this kind of status. If USA doesn't purchase many products from China, then China is going to export more products to some other markets. And also when it comes to the export, if you put all the eggs into the one market, I think it is quite dangerous. So we must realize the fragmented market. In the past, I think our policy may be mistaken. I think that we should think out of the box and to realize the fragmented market for our business. In the interest of the time, I know that you have many questions. It is not very easy to exhaust all the questions within the short time span. I think I'm going to leave the last question to myself.
Final question I made myself, that I want to have one question to our friends from the Philippines, Indonesia, and Malaysia. What's your feeling of the key pleasures you have about your industry of the forestry industry in Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia? Okay, each of you, can you speak something in short? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm not talking about policy or export or import now. So because it's beyond my capacity. Yeah? So I just to share with you about what we are doing in our country. Of course, we exported a lot of timber, wood, especially cengal. Cengal to Australia, to US, maybe to Europe, and a lot of to Japan as well. So we export a lot of timber products as well, timber wood. Okay, but I want to share with you about the timber consumption in a domestic scale. So since our government encourage, we are actually in the inception stage of encouraging our people to use this green buildings index. We are having index just like US, they have LEED. So just like Singapore, they have a star rating, GBS. So now, since we are no more, we have not enough, really not enough timber for our consumption. So GBI, our government, is encouraging our people to use back our used timber, recycled timber. So I think this is also maybe applicable to our friend just now asking about how to use timber for furniture. So actually, as an architect as well as a lecturer in the university, we are encouraging our students to use timber, whether as a recycled material or timber as a recycled material or recyclable material. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The forest industry in Indonesia, I believe that the export in Indonesia has been decreasing by 30% since 2008. because many of our companies export to European markets and USA market, which is also going down since the crisis. But then we're looking for the local market, which is very good, because we have some 200 million people in Indonesia, which is a very good market. Another challenge is that the European markets and the USA markets is pursuing for the certification. Certification is very good, I think, even though it's not yet economically valued. At least for one thing, it pushes us to be aware of our environmental condition. So whatever it is, this is still developing, this is still progressing, it is still good to be pushed to all the world. Another thing is, even though the mass production, which is mostly coming from the USA market, like Walmart and Target Incorporation, they gave us very little profit margin. But this profit margin actually can be topped up by making our production more efficiently. So what to become our homework in Indonesia for the business people, for the industry in Indonesia, is to make our production more efficient, more effective in working. In that way, we can top up a little about profit margin without having to violate the environment. That's from Indonesia. Thank you.
In the case of the Philippines, we used to be one of the biggest exporters of forest products in the 1950s and 60s. But due to massive deforestation, timber production now is confined from raw materials coming from plantations. So the emphasis now is more on plantation development, especially in the southern part of the Philippines.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation and answers. And thank you for your active questions. I know that you have many questions to be raised. Now we are going to continue our conference this afternoon. For some detailed questions, we can also have the in-person discussion with our speakers. This wraps up this morning's session of 2011 International Forest Products Trade Forum. Thank you.